Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a ghost hunter? To go into a haunted location and investigate the claims of paranormal activity? In A Haunting Diary, Investigations with a Ghost Hunter, you can follow along with a first-hand account by a real paranormal investigator, Aaron Agnatz of Hauntings Around America. From the ghostly funeral train that travels town to town, to the battlefield in Gettysburg where the bloodiest battle in U.S. history took place, down to the infamously haunted city of New Orleans. Enjoy this trip to some of the many hauntings America has to offer and decide for yourself if ghosts are real.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of A Haunting Diary, Investigations with a Ghost Hunter. My name is Aaron Agnatz and I am your host. Before we get started on the episode, I wanted to give you guys like a heartfelt thank you for tuning in for episode 1. As a lot of you know, I'm not a public speaker. That's not my thing. So this was kind of like a new venture that I was a little apprehensive to do, but I truly, truly appreciate all the likes, the shares, the comments, everything. So thank you so much. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about my favorite location, which is Waverly Hills. Waverly Hills is one of those you go to investigate. You may go in thinking, I don't know if I believe in ghosts, but you'll come out thinking, yep, there are definitely ghosts. So I can't wait to share all of my information about Waverly with you. And then I'll finish it up with another Q&A session since you guys sent in a few more questions, which I truly appreciate. But let's start with the history of Waverly Hills. If you're a fan of ghost hunting or paranormal shows, chances are that you have come across at least one episode about the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Waverly is located in Louisville, Kentucky. And around the 20th century, Jefferson County, which is the county where Waverly is located, was hit hard by the White Plague, also known as tuberculosis. During this time, there was no cure for TB, only symptom treatment, which consisted of fresh air and sunlight. TB is highly contagious. It's a virus that can thrive in all kinds of conditions, but especially in the conditions of the early 1900s. Jefferson County realized they needed to find a way to isolate the virus to prevent it from spreading further. They decided to utilize a little piece of land that used to be home to a one-room schoolhouse dating back to 1883, known as Waverly School. Fun fact, the school was named after the teacher, Miss Harris's favorite books, the Waverly series by Walter Scott. The original TB hospital was comprised of dual, two-story stick-built structures with a 20-patient capacity. The rooms were opened air to ensure excellent ventilation. And if you look at how Waverly is now, I'll throw up a picture so you can see. They kept that in the final design as well because the open air helped, like I said before, with treating the symptoms. It helps with the breathing and whatnot. So that's why Waverly looks kind of funky because it is open air on one side. Unfortunately, the 20-bed capacity was not big enough as cases continued to spread rather quickly. They began to have to set up tents on the grounds as the overflow of patients was becoming out of control. By 1912, Waverly had expanded to hold 40 more patients. However, that was still not enough. Another 50 beds were built in 1914, this time strictly for children patients. Unfortunately, the wood structures of the original Waverly were not supportive of the mass repairs and additions that were needed. So, in March of 1924, new construction began on the 5-story building we all know today. It opened in 1926, where countless patients came through their door. Sadly, a large number of those patients never came out. By 1943, the new discovery of the antibiotic streptomycin came out as an effective treatment for TB, resulting in the end of Waverly Hills as a tuberculosis hospital. This was in 1961. By 1962, it had new owners. the Woodhaven Geriatric Centers, a nursing home which housed patients for many different ailments, including those with dementia, age-related issues, mobility issues, as well as those who had mental conditions in need of in-person care. Woodhaven was an absolute disaster. They were understaffed, overcrowded, and worst of all, the patients were neglected, severely neglected. It would take years, but eventually in 1980, the state would shut down this disaster of a nursing home as stories of neglect and abuse made the mainstream media. And that brings us to how it is today. So let's get into the hauntings, shall we? I'll start with the one that everyone wants to know about, the body chute. Whenever I talk about Waverly, everyone wants to know about the famous body chute. And I say this because literally everyone wants to know about the body chute. I remember when I was doing my interview for Newsweek, they asked specifically about the body chute. Again, when I did a Fox interview, they wanted to know about the body chute. And I always hate to say, you know what? It's not what you think it is. When you think of a body chute, you're probably picturing a laundry chute type thing where they would just throw the bodies of the deceased down a few stories and that is that. However, that is not that because the body chute is just a long tunnel. That's all it is. There's no chute. Um, and I mean, when I say a long tunnel, it is a long tunnel. I have been in there several times, and each time I feel like I'm going to be the next ghost of Waverly because it is so far down. It's such a long walk, and I trip every single time. But with that being said, what is the body chute and why is it so significant? In reality, it's not that it's significant. The tunnel is actually just a tunnel they utilize to carry materials back and forth on the property. It actually had a cable car used to transport items up and down the passageway because it is so long and at an incline. The staff started to use the tunnel as a way to transport corpses to a waiting ambulance at the bottom of the hill so as to not lower the morale of the other patients. So basically, you know how I said there was an open air area of Waverly? A lot of the patients would sit out there all day. And after a while, they started to see, hey, that's my neighbor. Oh gosh, they're wheeling them out. They died. And it started to take a toll on the patients and they wanted to do something to, keep that morale up, show them that they had a fighting chance. So they decided to start using the body chute for that. And like I said, it's just a tunnel. They didn't just discard the bodies and that was that. They went to an ambulance and went on to their burial. It wasn't anything nefarious like the name gives. So sorry to disappoint those who did not know what the body chute was, but it's just a tunnel. As far as paranormal activity on the body chute, I've never caught anything. I'm not saying there's nothing down there. I'm just saying that I personally have never experienced anything paranormal down there. So I tend to just go down there for a quick little overview and then I'm done. I like to focus on other parts of Waverly. How about the 5th floor? And more specifically, room 502. Now that is a much different story than the body chute. Room 502 is famous for the supposed nurse who took her own life by jumping out of the 5th floor window after her lover, a married doctor, impregnated her. Others say that she didn't take her own life, but that the doctor threw her out of the window. So, not good. There's another theory going around that she hung herself outside of 502. What's the real story? I couldn't tell you because I don't know. I tried to look it up. I asked people that work there. No one knows the official story, but what I can tell you is something is going on around that area, something paranormal. So, in my experience, I have gotten EVP. I've heard disembodied voices. Once I heard a shout. Of course, I wasn't recording because that would have been too good. So, stuff like that. Smaller paranormal experiences, but still something paranormal is going on. Is it the nurse? I don't know, but it's someone. The other part of the 5th floor that is very popular is the children's spot. I don't want to call it a room because it's not really a room, but it's on the fifth floor, and that is where the famous entity Timmy is supposed to be. Now, Timmy, I don't know if he was real either, but there are children's spirits there. And for this reason, there are little toys all about, especially on the fifth floor. There's a couple of rubber balls there. Those So basically it's for the kids to play with. The balls. I was up there one night by myself because I tend to wander off by myself. Well, I'll do investigations by myself, which don't do that, by the way. It's not safe. Don't do it. I'm stupid for doing it, but I do it from time to time. Anyway, I was up there in the room where the child spirits are said to be, and in this room, there are rubber balls all around for the child spirits to interact. I started to talk to them, asking, if they would like to play ball with me. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I was explaining to them that they like to play soccer, they like to kick the ball around. And as you'll see in the video I'm about to show, I kicked the ball and it does this like weird maneuver, and then it just stops. And then it kind of reverses course as though it was kicked by an unseen force. It was really, really cool. And I remember getting so excited. I ran down to find the rest of my team and I was like, hey, you guys got to see this. Look, look, look. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. What happened after? And I was like, oh my God. I got so excited. I took off. I didn't even finish. I could have got more, but that's me in a nutshell. I'm really ditzy and I messed that up big time. But the moral of the story is there is something up there and they like to play kickball. So there you go. Go play with Timmy or whoever the little child spirit is. But it's really cool. So if you ever want to play kickball, go to the fifth floor and there will be a ghost waiting for you there. Now, while I've had a ton of experiences at Waverly, my favorite is on the fourth floor. The fourth floor is the darkest floor at Waverly. The reason I say that is because there is something going on there that likes to interact with people in a more negative way. A few years, it's more than a few years, probably a decade or so ago, there were some kids that snuck into Waverly because, it's an old abandoned building, and they were screwing around, breaking stuff, you know how it goes. And they got stuck. They got stuck on the fourth floor. Now, if you've ever been up there, you will know that there is no handle on this particular door that I'm referring to right now, but this thing was not letting them out. They were stuck. They started to freak out. I don't know who heard. I don't know if it was like the caretaker at the time or what, but they came up. They were trying to get these kids out. They were screaming by this point and crying, I can't get out. It won't let me out. They were freaking out. And on the other side of the door, they had grabbed either a hatchet or an axe or something, and they started just like wailing on this door. And if you're there, and I think I have a picture, and I'll put that up too. You'll see where the axe hit. And it kept going and kept going. And they could not get this door open. No matter what they tried, they could not get this door open. Finally, the kids were like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I won't come back. I won't do it again. And then the door easily opens. Now, I would find the story kind of far-fetched, but I've actually seen the door, so I do believe something definitely happened there. It's quite unique. And I've also been on the fourth floor, and I know the feeling up there. It is not like the rest of the location. It's pretty harsh. And I say that because I'll tell you my own story now. I was walking up there one night by myself, of course, and I was on the interior hall, not the one outside with the open air. I was on the interior wall. It was very, very dark. I got about halfway down the hallway and I started to feel like I was being watched, which is it's pretty common when you're ghost hunting. And I look around and then I start recording, of course, because I don't want to miss anything. And I don't know what particularly caught my attention, but I whirl the camera around real quick behind me, and you see this mist start to kind of go together and then dissipate. It's a light mist, but you can definitely see it. And I don't know what I said. I must have said something. I couldn't hear it on the video, but all of a sudden you hear the ghost call me something. And I didn't hear it until I got home and I reviewed the camera or reviewed the footage, but I was shocked when I heard it. So I'm going to let you listen in here, try and decipher, and then I will tell you what we found out it said. There's just something up there. It's gone now. There was just something standing there. Okay, that was weird. Where? It's gone. It was really weird. Did you hear that? Yeah. The ghost called me a hoe. Yeah. I was when I was reviewing the footage, I was like, "Did that really happen? Did that really call me that?" And then I played it again and again, and I amplified the volume. I was like, "Yep, yep, it called me a hoe." So I went to Instagram and I asked my followers there, I was like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this? What do you hear?" And it was almost unanimous. "Ghost called you a hoe. Ha 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 ha." It was really funny because usually you get like a no or something or whatever, but this was a straight up hoe. So yeah, I got called a hoe, which to me is hysterical. I think it's hysterical. So I'm okay with it. Not because I'm a hoe, but because it was funny. So I like a good laugh, and that was a good laugh. About a year later, I went back and I investigated again. And as you will hear on the footage, listen to the response I got. Can you call us again? Yes, indeed, I was called a hoe again. So wonders never cease to exist. But hey, at least it remembered me, right? So yeah, I'm the hoe of Waverly Hills. There you go. I really don't like that. Another story about the fourth floor, but this also varies between the second, the third, and the fourth floor, is the infamous creeper. Now, the creeper is this entity. No one knows exactly what it is because it's basically like a shapeshifter. Sometimes it looks like a spider. Sometimes it looks like a demon. Sometimes sometimes it's a shadow figure. No one knows what it is, but everyone does know that it is kind of aggressive and it likes to screw with you. People have claimed that it will come out of nowhere and be right in your face. Others say that it follows you around. It gives you a really unsettling feeling. I personally have not come into contact with the creeper, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay avoiding the creeper. That's okay. I don't need to see the creeper. But that is another story at Waverly, and I truly believe it could happen because, to be honest, Waverly is it's full of all kinds of spirits. So who knows? Who knows what's really going on there? I think they said that the death toll was in the thousands there. There's not a real accurate number we can find, but the death toll was definitely in the thousands. So there's all kinds of personalities there. So it makes sense that there's a creeper. There's another location that has one too. I believe it's the Randolph Asylum. I'll be there. I think I'll be there next month. So maybe I'll find it there. Who knows? But again, I'm not really wanting to find the creeper. So yeah. One last story I will tell you about Waverly was an investigation I did last year. We had a lady come along and she was investigating by herself. And remember what I said, it's not good to investigate by yourself. And this is why it's not good to investigate by yourself. When she first got there, she was fine. She was jovial, great spirits, couldn't wait to dive in. This was her first ghost hunt. About an hour into it, you could tell she was starting to get overwhelmed. A couple more hours go by, and the staff of Waverly came in and were like, "Hey, your investigator is on the roof." And I was like, "What? What? Why is she on the roof? And how did she get on the roof? Because they're doing construction right now, and you cannot get to the roof. Well, I don't know if the construction's done, but at that point, you could not get on the roof because the door was completely like nailed shut. You could not get up there. So I don't know how she got up there, but she was up on the roof. She had to be like Spider-Man because there was like one access, but you would have to basically hold on to the side of the building and climb up. It's just crazy. I don't know how she got up there. They got her down, and as she was walking out, she was completely terrified. So I don't know what happened to her, but the moral of this story is to tell you, one, do not investigate by yourself. Two, know that even the places that seem like a great time and you're having fun and it's just like innocent stuff, it can turn dark pretty quickly. That's one part of ghost hunting I think a lot of people don't really realize until you're in it. And I've also had an encounter where it got really dark really fast, and I will share that in a future episode. But the moral of this story is to please be vigilant when you're out there and do not investigate by yourself. So that is my PSA for ghost hunting. Also, that is the end of my Waverly Hills tale. So thank you for watching that. I'm going to do a few questions and then we are done. First question. If you could investigate with any ghost hunters, who would it be? Okay. So you're going to laugh at me for this, but I'm going to tell you anyways. It is Sam and Colby. Why? One, they're really popular and that would help me out a lot. So, why not? Two, my daughter is a huge fan of Sam and Colby, and she specifically told me that if I ever were to pair up with them, she would become really, really popular at school. So she hopes that that works. So Sam and Colby, there you go. I mean, hey, it seems beneficial. Well, at least for me, I guess it wouldn't be for them, but for me, it would work, right? How do you feel about people who fake their evidence? I don't like that at all. I hate that. I know that there are people out there that do it. I think it's a shitty thing to do, pardon my French. But it doesn't help us. It does not help us at all. It it makes us look bad. Ghost hunting's one of those things where there's a lot of non-believers, and I understand why. I absolutely get it. We've all been there, but it does not help when people are out there faking stuff for views or whatever. So I really don't appreciate when people do that. I mean, it's fraud, right? It's wrong, and it doesn't help anyone. I guess it helps the people get more views, but it doesn't help the ghost hunting community. So I do not think highly of people that fake their evidence. That is not cool. So don't do that. Don't do that. That's not right. Next question. I find it interesting that you are a historian. Thank you. Most people think that's dorky. Is there a particular historical subject that you specialize in? Yeah, there is. Like I said, I teach Greek and Roman civilizations at the U of P. However, that's not what I'm a historian of. I'm a historian of the American Civil War and essentially the Victorian era up until about 1922-ish. But the American Civil War is my bread and butter. I drive my family crazy because I'll drag them from battlefield to battlefield, not for ghosts, but just because I want to tell them about battle positions and all of that stuff that no one cares about unless you're a Civil War fanatic. And so I definitely specialize in the Civil War. When I was getting my master's degree, my thesis was on the 22nd New York State Militia. I could go on, and I know you don't want me to, but yeah. So the American Civil War is my thing. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, last question. What is the difference between a residual haunting and an intelligent haunting? Great question. And the answer I like to give is a residual haunting is almost like nature's video camera. What I mean by that is when you see a residual haunting, it's basically an impression in time. That ghost isn't really there. It's just basically like you know how I mentioned in the last episode how when we were at Gettysburg, we saw the soldiers start to walk out, then they disappeared, and then they went back and restarted again. That's basically what a residual haunting is. They don't know you're there because they're not there. It's basically nature's video camera. An intelligent spirit, however, is different. They are actually there. They can interact with you. They know you're there, and sometimes they want you to know that they're there. So that's basically the difference. It's I don't know. I don't have any fancy terms for it, but that's the difference between the two. So a residual haunting is not really there. It's a replay of time. An intelligent haunting is a ghost that's there and sometimes ready to mess with you. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to be working on episode 3 coming up. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see, what you would like me to feature. I have a whole bunch of stories. I could, like I said, I've investigated in 40 different states. I have quite a few stories to tell. I have some footage to show. So let me know where you want to see me feature, and I will do it. Also, send me more of your questions. I love answering them. They make me laugh. Yeah. So send them my way. Thank you again, and I will see you next time.